Sometimes I think it's easy to lose perspective of just what it is that Manny Pacquiao has accomplished in his career. I mean, we talk about guys that are 2 division, 3 division, 4 division world champions, and we put them up on a pedestal. There's a whole lot of guys out there that we consider great, very good, above average fighters that kind of fall into those categories, and they've been there for decades, right? All over the place we've seen people doing this, but particularly it's been of late when we've seen guys move more weight classes than at any time in history. Manny Pacquiao, 8 divisions. 8 weight divisions this man moved through and continued to rack up world championships time and time again. And he has got some Hall of Famers on his name, man. Manny Pacquiao was the guy that retired Oscar De La Hoya. Manny Pacquiao went out there and put a beating on Miguel Cotto. Manny Pacquiao put a beating on Antonio Margarito. Manny Pacquiao went out there and stopped Eric Morales. Think about the wins over Juan Manuel Marquez. I mean, people who are in the Hall of Fame, and Manny Pacquiao was out there just blazing them with that left hand. So I think it's easy, particularly because, once a guy's retired, we stop talking about him a little bit. We kind of forget what's going on. We're talking about the next crop of guys that are going on. So it's easy to kind of forget what it is that Manny Pacquiao did. But put it in perspective, man, the man is nothing short of absolutely great. That being said, what he would be, if he was to accomplish what he's attempting to do here, I mean, come on. Where is that going to place the guy? We're going to have to put the guy on boxing Mount Rushmore? I mean, think about it for a second. 46 years old. 46 years old, the man's attempting to come back to an incredibly competitive division, the welterweight 147-pound division, and snatch up arguably the most legendary belt that there is. Wants to go out there and fight Mario Barrios, a legitimate champion at 147 pounds, and snatch this belt up. Now, look, we haven't seen Manny in the ring for 4 years. As though it wouldn't be impressive enough being 46 years old. He's been retired for 4 years. And prior to that fight that we saw him in 4 years ago, it had been 2 years since he stepped in the ring. So a man's only fought one time in 6 years. He's over there living the good life with all of the money that he's made. And the fact that he's been in politics for a long time now over in the Philippines. The fight game, it's just like coming back to it. And I got to be honest, we've seen some guys come back from retirement and put in some good performances. I'd have to make the argument that the most impressive one that we've seen has been George Foreman. The way that he came back in the whole second half of his career and the amount of time that he was off and what he did. But heavyweight is different. Heavyweight is different. Those guys are able to get a lot older, a lot more gracefully in a lot of ways because the nature of the way that they fight is a lot different. Manny Pacquiao was already starting to slip, man. We saw that, and the reason that he started to slip, I'll say earlier than some of his peers, and think about his ultimate peer would be Floyd Mayweather, because that's the level that this man was on. And the reason that a guy like Manny Pacquiao, his style, he slips before other guys, is because his style is built so much on athletics. You look at the way that he would dart in and out. You look at the way that he was built his game off of explosiveness. You look at the way he built his game off speed, whether it was the footwork or the hand speed, the combination punching, the way he'd get in and out, the way he would cut these angles. It's beautiful, and it's just devastating when you watch him go out there and do it, and he's at his absolute best. I encourage anybody who hasn't seen it to go watch that fight with Miguel Cotto. He put on an absolute, just brilliant display, particularly when you're considering the fact that it was against Cotto, man, and how good that man was. But all you need to do when you've got that type of a style is slip just a little bit, and all of a sudden you become normal. You become average. Go look at Roy Jones Jr., man. I loved watching Roy growing up, I should say, not him grow. I love watching Roy growing up, man. Roy was an absolute phenom, fighter of the 90s for a reason. Just absolute Superman. But when you watch what happened, when he started to slip just a little bit, he started to get caught, man. And then all of a sudden he started to just take a beating, and he was, it wasn't good. And you don't see that from guys who have their games that are more strongly built off of fundamentals. And when they've got that rock solid fundamental skill set. Think about a Floyd Mayweather, or think about a Bernard Hopkins, and the way that those guys aged and how their game stuck around for way longer, and they were able to use the skills that they had to adapt to the way that their age was starting to make their physical abilities decline a little bit. So now you consider all that. You consider the fact that there's this age-old saying in boxing, right, that every great fighter has one last great fight. And you think, well, maybe this is Manny's one last great fight. I would argue that was the fight against Keith Thurman. That was Manny's one last great fight. That was the fight that he was coming in as an underdog. He really wasn't supposed to win. He pulled out that knockdown early and it kind of changed the whole complexion of the fight. But even by the end of that fight, Keith was coming back. And make no mistake about it, when Manny was in his prime, he was a ferocious finisher. Keith wouldn't have made it out of there, right? So, because he was hurt after that knockdown. So, you know, you look at it and you think about that performance that he put in against Ugas, and you're like, no, man, no. You know, Mario Barrios may not be the most talented guy at 147 pounds. He may not be the absolute creme de la creme, the top of the heap. We're reserving that honor. We just had it for Jaron Ennis, right? But Boots left the division, goes up to 154. Now a lot of people are looking and handing that to Brian Norman Jr. So if you think that Brian Norman Jr. is legitimately the best in the world at 147 pounds, you're putting Mario Barrios at a step down from him. All that being said, Mario Barrios is no bum. The man knows how to fight. And the thing is, he's tall for the division. He's tall. He's long and rangy. He fights well from the outside. Good jab. Knows how to stick solid, crisp punches. Natural counter puncher. When you think about these last fights that he's had, and he's hurt people up to and including that knockdown that he had against Ugas, he was doing it off of counter punching. He was going out there and he was hurting guys with counter punching. And you think about Manny Pacquiao and when he has been hurt at his most hurt, I'll say, when he's been his most hurt, right? It's been against people who are beautiful and brilliant counterpunchers like Juan Manuel Marquez. And it's because of the natural, aggressive, come-forward style that Manny Pacquiao has, man. When he's out there and he's getting after it and he's doing his thing, he's going to naturally leave himself open to counters. We've always known it. It's just been whether or not you're going to be able to exploit it. So I think the Manny, man, turning back the clock on this one, this is a tall order. It is going to be rough, man. I've been a fan for a long time, man. So if he goes out there and all of a sudden he starts getting tattooed with these shots from Barrios, it may be a little bit ugly, maybe a little bit tough to watch, but I signed up to watch all the fights a long time ago anyway. So if he does this, make no mistake about it, this is going to be absolutely phenomenal. But the odds aren't in his favor. The odds are not in his favor going against a young, strong, talented fighter like Mario Barrios, and we're talking about 46 years old, off of the couch, Manny Pacquiao. Let me know what you guys think. Am I underestimating what the Pac-Man brings to the table, or is Mario Barrios going to get the Manny Pacquiao name on his resume? Let me know.